Alright, maybe that was a little dramatic, but we've all thought about it before. If you get wiped on ARK, please don't kill yourself. Your life is worth a lot more than getting aimbotted by box. Anyways, to stop this from happening, I put together a video of everything I've learned in my 3,500 hours of wasting my life on this game, so hopefully your base will be there when you wake up tomorrow. Let's get into it. Quick overview of the video, we're going to look at the 5 types of base spots that you can live in, those being rat holes, cliff flats, pillars, underwater pearl caves, and artifact caves, and all the mistakes that people make when building them, along with some tips to improve base defense. We're going to start with rat holes, timestamps in the video player. As far as rat holes go, you're looking for something that can't be accessed without manipulating the character. This includes things like knockout spots, Pelagornis rat holes, zip lines, and grapples. This rat hole on extinction is pretty common, and it checks most of our boxes. It's up in the air, you need a grapple to get in, tight entrance, looks pretty defendable. To the average Bob, this may seem like a perfect spot, but I'm going to point out a few flaws with the build. On a surface level, the turret placement looks good, but we're going to run an experiment to see if the turret placement is actually effective. You're going to see when I fly in, the turrets hardly shoot at me, and it's not because I'm in ghost mode. Turrets do shoot at admins in ghost mode. It's because they have horrible line of sight on the entrance and they're all blocking each other. In the second clip, I moved the turrets around so they all have better line of sight. I'm still in ghost mode, but they're all shooting at us now. I'll go in orbit camp so you can get a better view. Another tip to reinforce your rat holes is to front load the entrance with carbies. This is really effective on servers where the carbie health is high. We're going to run an experiment right now to see if we can throw our own carbie in while the entrance is front loaded with carbies. you're going to see that it's pretty difficult, and if I had one more in there, it would be pretty much impossible to throw out my own soaker without the entrance being cleared first. Some key takeaways: you want to make sure that all your turrets have line of sight at the entrance. At the end of the day, if they can get a soaker into your base, it can be raided, but you really want to make sure that they have to get through every bit of ammo that you've farmed. It's really difficult to farm ammo, and it would be a tragedy if the people not only get your loot, but all of your hard work in ARB. You also want to make sure that if you can, you block the entrance with high health tames. Carbies work great, but other things work too on different rat holes. You can always cryo them up when you log on and pop them when you log off. The next example, we're going to be going over our cliff plats. Cliff plats are kind of a special case because there's only one good build for them, and Aberration might be the only map worth placing them on, especially for solo and small tribes. It also really depends on the environment you're placing them in. On screen, there's two cliff plats. The first one is a decent build, and the second one is an atrocious base. Please put turrets on the bottom of your cliff plats. I'll show you why in a second. Now we're going to introduce a really important concept called third-person C4. This is a really versatile raiding method that can be used in many instances. You can see in the first example, in first-person camera, the C4 sticks to the bottom of the cliff plat and does no damage to the generator on top. In the second example, I switched to third-person camera and it manipulates where the C4 is placed. It bypasses the first layer and attaches to the generator. This is detrimental to any cliff plat that doesn't have defense on the bottom. Unfortunately, there really isn't a solution for stopping the third-person C4 from coming under the cliff plat. Here I'm going to show the effectiveness of placing all your generators, cables, and outlets inside structures, but if the raiders have more C4, the result's going to be the same. Really, the only thing you can do is have more turrets that can look more directions with more bullets.
Put everything we just learned in the context of an actual raiding scenario. Here's a clip of me trying to fly a Quetz hatchframe up to the turrets. You're going to see that there's pretty much no way for me to sneak up to the platform without getting shot by the chandeliers on the other side. This is ideal because the next step for the raiders would be to place a stego or racer on the back of their Quetzal and start soaking your turrets. Remember, you want the raiders to have to soak your turrets because no base is unraidable, so the goal is to stop them from cheesing, not to stop them from raiding.
Here's a relevant topic. This contraption has many names, but for the sake of keeping it PG, we're just going to call it the Schmied Raft. Here's a normal speed video of me building it. This concept will also apply to Quetzals later. I'm going to leave it at normal speed so everybody can follow along. If you already know how to do it, feel free to speed it up or skip it. Okay, here's a couple images of what the raft looks like when it's done. It really is just a straight line with a hole in the bottom so you can access the raft. Now I'm going to show you how to use it. Okay, so the Schmied Raft isn't entirely relevant to base defense, but like Obi once says, the best defense is a quick and decisive offense. Now that I'm thinking about it, that quote doesn't actually apply here at all. But I still think it's important to learn ways that opponents can attack you so that you can strategize on how to defend against them. The key takeaway here is don't build on a beach or any place that's accessible by raft. In this section, we're going to take a look at pillar bases. Pillar bases might be the only relevant way to still build in the overworld, but they come with a lot of drawbacks, especially if you're a small group. In the first part, we're going to take a look at the Quetzel hatchframe method. This is similar to the Schmidt Raft, except instead of making a tube, it creates a large surface area on the top that blocks the Quetzel's hitbox so that you can fly right up to turrets and third-person see for them. After, we're going to talk about some ways you can stop people from doing this to you, but really, just don't build on pillars unless you're a giant tribe. So now we're going to fly over to the wall, place a C4, and pretty much blow up all the turrets without taking a single hit. You can see at the end, once we fly over, a turret's going to shoot us once. That just goes to show how effective the Quetzel hatchframe build is at blocking turrets.
Alright, here's a little bonus topic. Flame arrows can damage pretty much any electrical structure, so if you're building a pillar base, make sure that all your electrical components are under foundations or inside your core structures. Also, if you wake up feeling like you want to ruin somebody's day, remember that flame arrows can also damage tech replicators. So if you see somebody's tech replicator, destroy it, because if you can't have fun, they shouldn't have fun either. Pearl caves used to be one of the best locations in ARK. They're underwater, hard to reach, they have tiny entrances, they come in small, medium, and large sizes, and they're super defendable. They are the king of day one starter bases, but they're just that, starter bases. Ever since the introduction of the Tuso, or giant squid, now Pearl caves are the weakest base in all of ARK. If people rate you fairly, Pearl caves are pretty strong, but nobody ever plays fair in ARK. Every time you log onto a server, at least half the people are cheating. So you need to watch out for people who can rate you unfairly. In this section of the video, I'm going to demonstrate how to mesh raid a pearl cave with the Tuso and a Carby, show how effective it is, and why you should never build in one of these for more than an hour. This is a really short and effective process. Paired with the 6 times damage of caves, you're going to destroy every single structure in there. First, we throw the Carby in to see if the turrets work. The next step is going to be hopping on the Tuso, moving it towards the Carby. You're going to get off and place a C4 on the Carbonimus. Then you're going to grab it and find the shortest distance between the wall and the thing you want to destroy. Once the Carby's inside, the turrets are going to shoot the C4 off the Carby, blow it up, and the Carby is going to anti-mesh outside of the cave again. In this example, our level 24 Carby with a Prim Saddle survived, and none of the death wall did. Another note is that if you have a friend, they can just detonate the C4 themselves instead of having the turrets shoot the C4. With this method, you can pretty much have the Carbonimus detonate in any part of anybody's Pearl Cave. So we're not even going to talk about how to defend Pearl Caves, just stay away from them. And if you're watching this video from inside a Pearl Cave, start packing your things. For the last part of this video, I'm going to talk about it instead of showing examples like we did for the other sections. The footage in the back is me defending my clever cave on Vitality Duos. Just don't build in this cave. My friend and I decided to build in this cave because we wanted people to online raid us, and that's exactly what happened. I assume for most of you, your goal is not to get online raided, so just stay away. As far as other caves go, they're the best and most versatile base spots in all of ARK, but they also attract a lot of attention. Before we even discuss how to defend a cave, we have to look at what kind of caves you should be building in. If you're a large tribe, anything close to the full tribe your server allows, you should look into getting the Island Ice Cave, Genesis Alpha Lunar, or any other cave you've never had the chance to build in before. If you're a medium-sized tribe or super good at PvP, then take a look at the Pat Cave or Aberration Glowtail Cave. If you're 3 people or less, unless you're all super experienced, you should look into a rat hole before you even think about building in a cave. Once you have established your cave, you need to build a death wall. This usually consists of turrets on giant metal hatch frames supported by pillars and double door frames with a generator behind it. The main goal of defenders is to keep the attackers outside the first death wall. This is much easier said than done because you have to deal with large soakers, grapple glitches, owl divers, Deinonychus rockets, beer runners, box racers, stegos, and everything else you can think of. Instead of explaining how to keep an oil cave, I'm going to keep this video geared towards solos and small tribes and advise you not to build in this cave unless you got the manpower and you already know how to do it. In the future, I'll make another video just about cave defense. For smaller caves, we must combine all the topics we learned in the previous sections into one base spot. At the entrance, we want to have a DPS dino blocking the cave. This can be anything with high melee or the bleed effect. Underwater, Megalodons work best. On land, use Stylos, Gigas, Carnos, or anything else you have. Here, I use a Rex because I think that's all we had at the time. You also want to put a Parasaur at the front so you can see when the enemies are getting ready to make a push or if they're even still there. Another important security measure is placing spam outside your cave so you don't get boxed in by heavies and you can have a fair fight outside. In the video, I don't do any of this and we end up getting wiped because I have to leave and they just run through it when I'm not there to defend. This is a lot to take in, so I'm just going to leave the key takeaways on the screen and you can figure out how you can apply this to your own base defense or not. Hopefully you learned something new. If this was helpful, please subscribe, and if it was horrible, please tell me in the comments so I know if I should quit YouTube or not. Regardless, hope you have an amazing day.